sci-fi and action thrill, reviewing new TV shows, we keep it real, real. Reminiscing the attitude era, wrestling at its peak. Nostalgia from the 80s and 90s, memories we seek. Pineapples for our rings, a unique touch. Geek culture in our blood, we love it so much. Geek Blue forever, we love it so much. Geek Blue, where we talk about it all, from superheroes to wrestlers. We stand tall, Ray and Kevin, the dynamic duo in sight. Geek Blue, shining bright, shining bright. Did you hear about Pluto? That's messed up, right? Geek Blue, taking you on a nostalgic flight. From movies to TV, we cover it all. Join us and every week we'll have a ball. Shuffle.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, buddy? How we doing?
Not too much. Doing good. Doing good.
Good to hear.
Got a lot of stuff to review. Some movie backlog that I got into. I know you've seen a lot of these, most of them. We're gonna get into that. We got a couple of TV shows ended, some started, and yeah, let's just get into it. With a beginning of the month, let's get into show and tell. So many geeky things that we could pull off from the shelf. We've been collecting shit for years and now we're whipping it out. So it's time to showcase all the money that we wasted well. C'est la vie, say the old folks. It's Geek Club Show and Tell. I'll let you go first.
All right. It's pretty basic. I'm at my dad's, so I don't have much here. The Dexter Funko Pop.
You got yours too. Yeah, I got mine as well.
Yeah, we got them the same
Awesome.
day. Yeah, you sent your picture, and I like the stabbing Dexter Funko Pop.
The great thing about that, which you noticed before we got them, was this one of the first Funko Pops that actually has designs and art on the plastic window. The blood stain splatter is on the side of the plastic, which is a really cool touch.
Yep.
Limited edition. We picked them up before they sold out because
they did sell out. Nice.
They did. I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah. Well, I saw a movie yesterday. I did not think you had time to see it today, right? So we're not going to get into a full spoiler until probably you see it, and I recommend you do. However, I wanted to show the comics. I got to shut my background off. So just give me 2 seconds because I do have all of these comics that are pretty much the origin of the main person of the new movie, who is the Sentry. And I have some really cool ones. I don't have the one that spoils the movie, so I'm not going to show that one. But I got this one.
Nice.
This one. These are basically just the origins of the character. This is the actual origin of the character. This is the very first Sentry comic trade paperback.
Oh, nice.
And the thing about the Sentry, he is a weird character. The movie tackles him fairly well, but not to the extent of the comic books that they ever did. Because the comic books, he kind of has this amnesia to the character where he doesn't remember who he was. He was a superhero in the past life. In this comic book here, The Age of the Sentry is very cool art, set in almost like 1950s, 60s Steve Ditko art style. And it's a retelling of the Sentry in olden times. And I'm going to read these, and we'll talk about it probably when we review the movie in the next few weeks. But yeah, there's a lot to this character, and I think the movie tackled the basics of it, his mental capacity and what happens with the Void and everything. We'll get into that when I review it later, but I am going to give it a number this week.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm very excited to talk about that movie. I have notes. We'll be probably compiling a lot more notes before we record the actual review, spoiler review next week or whenever you end up seeing it. But so let's get into what we watched this week. First off, you watched a show. I saw you put in the notes this week.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to watch this. I was going to tell you I was going to start it after we get into all the sports stuff.
Okay.
I'm glad you started watching it so I can get your reaction to the first season of You on Netflix.
So here's what happened. I've been on Twitter, Dexter Twitter, because comic book Twitter
Yeah.
has really been pissing me off.
And Dexter is so close to coming out that there's
Exactly.
a lot of stuff out about
And
it.
this show just ended with their
Yes.
5th season. I was waiting for, because you never know if Netflix is going to cancel something before they conclude. But apparently they did the conclusion, and apparently they pulled it off really well from what I've heard. But yeah, on Dexter Twitter, basically a lot of people have been asking, could Joe beat Dexter? Could Joe beat Dexter from Original Sin? Who would win that type of matchup? Let me just put it this way. Joe would be on Dexter's table by the end of one episode of the season. Joe's a little bitch. But the show is incredibly stalkery, which you obviously know. But it took me a little bit to get into it. It probably wasn't until like the 2nd or 3rd episode, once you kind of figure out what's going on, where I was like, okay, this show's pretty cool. Yes, I really enjoyed the 1st season of the show.
Excellent.
I do recommend. It's not nearly as bloody as Dexter. It's creepier in a way where it's not going to freak you out with the blood. It's going to freak you out with
more psychological.
how far he goes. Yeah, it's very Joe is a very messed up character.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
Yeah. But he has this really sweet relationship with this his neighbor in his building's like a 10-year-old kid. And he's similar to Dexter in that way, where he has a really sweet relationship with this kid whose stepfather is a drunk and beats his mother, who's also like a meth addict. Yeah, I do recommend the show very much. I binge watched it all this week. Just a few episodes a night. Very good show.
Awesome. Yeah, it's on my list. There's a lot of stuff on my list, but that's definitely on the top of it.
Yep.
I'm not going to get into it much because I don't think you've watched any episodes yet. You're going to wait till the season's over. Mobland, oh my God.
Yep.
This week's
I watched the first
was...
episode. I did watch the first episode last week.
This week's episode was incredible.
Okay.
So much tension. The two families that are fighting in this, led by Pierce Brosnan on one side and the other guy on the other side, I don't know who he is, some British actor, but Tom Hardy playing a cleanup guy for this mob family is amazing. Great show. This is on Paramount Plus if you want to watch it. I believe they're about halfway through. I think there's 9 or 10 episodes for the season, so great time to pick up if you want to. This week's episode of The Studio is the best episode in my opinion so far.
Yeah.
They were casting this Kool-Aid movie that they've been teasing since the beginning of the season. And first of all, Ice Cube is going to be playing Kool-Aid, the Kool-Aid Man, which already you got the racial bias there. I mean, there's racial tension there already. And how they decide that they're going from a mixed cast of different races to an all-black cast and realizing maybe that's too racist. It just how they tackled this was incredible. And you know this happens in Hollywood all the time. This is an actual conversation that happens probably on a daily basis.
Well, I mean, everyone's talking about how Disney goes woke now with all their
stuff.
I'm sure that's what this is playing off of.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not just Disney, but a lot of people look at Disney.
Everybody, right?
Especially
it
with
happened.
Like the recent Cinderella movie and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Snow White, all of that.
Yep.
But Ice Cube in this. Ice Cube's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
Just, as an actor, I did not expect him to ever be as funny as he is in stuff. I mean, we should have known from Friday. We should have known from the Friday franchise alone. But yeah, when he teams up with Seth Rogen, he also teamed up in the other great movie that he's in is 21 and 22 Jump Street. He's great in those as a police chief.
Yep.
But yeah, great in this show. This is episode 7. I'm not sure how many episodes.
There's one left.
Show.
I think it's
next week,
and it's the Zack Snyder episode. So what I'm thinking is, this is just random thought by Kevco, is that the director who was kind of unsure when they were pitching him the new thing, kind of maybe he drops out and Zack finishes the project.
A Zack Snyder Kool-Aid movie. Wow.
Yep, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
What a great ending to this series. If
his fans drink the Kool-Aid already, why not?
Yeah, wow. I hope so. Yeah, so next week we'll talk about the finale, if that's the case.
Yep.
Last of Us episode 3. It was hard to pick up on that episodes 2. That was epic. By the way, IGN, you've lost touch. IGN gave that episode like a 4 or 5 out of 10.
Something like that, yeah.
It's ridiculous because it's the best episode probably of the series. But yeah, this episode was not as good just because it's kind of hard to top that high. But it does set up a lot, I know, going forward.
Yep.
The big thing is Ellie and Dina are going to Seattle to try to kill what's her name for killing Joel. And they meet up with a new faction called the
Mhm.
Wolves. They're kind of trailing their scent.
Yep.
In a way. And we know that Abby is a part of the Wolves.
It's not in the game. They don't call them the Wolves, or maybe they do, but it's the Washington. What are the three initials?
Washington Liberation.
Something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, good episode. It's still, I think, because the second game does have a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah.
And they left out like the most important scene between Ellie and Joel, or one of the most important scenes before what happened in episode 2. So it's gonna be interesting. I assume they'll be doing a lot of flashbacks going forward. So I think we'll be getting some Joel.
Well,
we
know we're getting at least one flashback episode. We've been talking about that. We know that Joey Pants is in an episode where he gets killed, and where Joel and Ellie have their falling out is kind of going to be told in that episode.
That character's in the second game a lot, good amount through flashbacks with Abby when she was younger too. So
okay,
yeah,
we'll get into all that next week. Episode comes out in a couple days. Andor season 2. This is the second part of the 4 parts that they're going to be doing every week until a couple weeks from now. Episodes 4 through 6. It's very hard. We're so used to watching weekly episodes or binging, but it's hard to watch when you're watching stuff weekly in one show that has 3 episodes a week.
Yeah.
And Andor, it's very good in spots, but there are some slow spots. And this week had a lot of slow spots. A couple things I wanted to bring up. Saw Gerrera, he was in Rogue One. He showed up in this. He's also was he in Rebels or one of those shows?
Yeah, he was originally in Rebels or maybe Clone Wars. I can't remember.
Yeah. But what's his name? Forrest Whitaker reprised his role. Krennic, we see him again. He was one of my favorite parts of Rogue One, so I'm glad they brought him in this season, and we're going to be seeing him a lot more going forward. And the other thing, the big thing that the internet picked up on, everybody picked up on, was Jimmy Smits was recast as Bail Organa. They're saying it was scheduling conflicts. It could be money issues. He wanted more money, and they weren't going to give it to him. But he was recast by do you remember the guy Benjamin Bratt?
Yeah, he's been he's another one of those I've seen him in a million things, you just don't know his name type deals. Yeah, he's a very familiar character actor.
He wasn't in that. He wasn't in the episode for much. Just kind of a quick cameo of Bail.
Yeah.
And we know where his character is probably going to end up before Rogue One. So right before episode 4. So I'm not sure if we're gonna see Alderaan. I have no idea. Have we actually seen Alderaan since? I guess we have seen it in scenes. Maybe it was Obi-Wan. I can't remember where we saw it, but we haven't seen it blow up yet. Besides what we saw in episode 4, so maybe we'll see him landing on the planet. Who knows? But another great episode this week of Dark Side of the Ring for somebody I had no idea really about. Eddie Gilbert.
Yep, hot stuff. Eddie Gilbert.
Yep. Started in kind of the territories, moved to the WWF very briefly in and out.
Yeah.
But mostly known, which you kind of hinted to last week when we were talking about him, for his time in ECW, and it's kind of towards the end of his career. And everybody says he was an amazing booker.
Yeah,
great with telling stories,
but he never lasted more than 6 months in a territory.
Yeah, he was in a lot of pains. Everybody was back in the day because they weren't taking care of their bodies. So he was addicted to pain medicine, and ended up having a heart attack from it. They say it could be from a car accident that he had years prior.
Yeah,
it could have to do with any other substances. Could be anything really, but I don't think they ever actually had besides a heart attack and a heart disease. They never did say what it was.
Right.
That's what I love about this show. Somebody I don't know, learn a whole bunch of new stuff about him.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. I can't remember what next week is, but we'll talk about it at the end. We got the finale of Celtic City, talking all about the current team that won last year, won the championship.
Yep.
First of all, I love this show.
Yeah, the show's
Number
awesome.
one, got me into basketball for the first time in probably 30 years. But I wasn't even really into it back then. I just knew the basics, knew some of the characters, and it was when basketball was not good. And I wasn't even into the championship, the big championship run in 08. And I could, like, when I was watching that last week, when I was watching this week, as you being a fan of this, I can imagine your excitement every week watching this championship series of both
Mhm.
the 08 and the 2024
Yep.
teams, and how incredible that was, especially the 08, when they kind of won it for Red Auerbach.
Yep.
And 2024 was kind of to prove the haters wrong of that. Yeah, we are the championship dynasty that this region knows and loves.
Yep.
And it came back in true form. I have some notes here. I don't know if you want to read them through and kind of tell me your opinion of this time period of
Okay.
2024.
Of 2024. Sure.
Yeah, because basically what they're talking about throughout the whole, like, what happened with the team after 09, and we could talk about everything.
Yeah, well, they basically just got injured.
Yeah,
because they were getting older anyways. I mean, they were all like 31, 32 when they put that team together in 08.
Yeah.
And Doc said they probably have a 3 or 4 year run, which is
Right.
true. And they got close a couple times, but of course in 09 they missed it and the Lakers won. And then in 10 we played the Lakers and it was just a shit show. Guys got injured in the 7th game. That 7th game was ugly as hell, man. It was like one of the worst basketball games I've ever seen, where like nobody could make a shot. And the Lakers, of course, beat us. Kobe stepped up and beat the Celtics finally. Then going into like what happened with trading Garnett and Pierce, of course. Allen had left for the Heat. Trader Danny, as they call him, traded Garnett and Pierce for future picks from Brooklyn. Because Brooklyn had just been bought by a billionaire, or they just started their team, moved them from New Jersey to Brooklyn. And they wanted to make an impact and whatnot. They got Garnett and Pierce, and they actually never really went anywhere with them. And we got 2 future first round picks that turned into Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And so then, of course, going into the 2024 team, they hired Brad Stevens, and basically in secret, Danny hired Brad Stevens, who eventually would replace Danny Ainge and hire Ume Udoka, who then, of course, got caught up in some controversy, which they really didn't talk about in the documentary.
The only thing they talked about was him being banned. They did mention that.
Yes.
From a team from the end of the game.
He
or
slept
something.
with somebody's wife in the organization or something.
Oh, that's right. You told me. Yeah, I remember now.
And Joe Mazzulla,
an actress.
I forget. Oh, well, he was with Gabrielle Union. He was engaged to her and cheated on her with somebody in the Celtics front office's wife.
Wow.
So he got basically axed in training camp. And Joe Mazzulla, who Danny Ainge, when he left, he went to Utah and wanted to take Joe Mazzulla, who was basically just a young coach on the staff, and the Celtics wouldn't let him. And it's a good thing they didn't, because at 34 years old, during training camp, mind you, like literally 3 weeks before the season starts, Joe Mazzulla is named the head coach of the Celtics, who just went to the finals and lost, of course, to the Golden State Warriors. And that changed everything. They went on to win with the Jays, who, of course, the funniest thing about both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is that they were both picked third. Jaylen Brown was not on anyone's radar when the Celtics took him, and they got fucking hate for it for a long time. But they also each one could have been drafted by the 76ers or the Lakers, which is hilarious because both those franchises are now in very much disarray. And they could have been, I mean, you put those two on the Philadelphia 76ers with Joel Embiid, who's one of the best players in the league when he plays, and they would have had 4 championships by now, easy. I mean, people forget, Jason Tatum's 27 years old. He's been to the NBA Finals twice. He's been to the Eastern Conference Finals like 6 times. He's never lost in the first round of the playoffs. Jaylen Brown is like 4th right now in most like playoff victories for the team. It's kind of crazy how this all kind of came together, because when they were drafted, they just signed Kyrie Irving and the white dude who broke his foot 5 minutes into his Celtics career.
That's right.
And they were supposed to basically just like help those guys. And Kyrie gets hurt, and next thing you know, we're in the Eastern Conference Finals with 2 guys that are 20 years old, 19 and 20 years old, playing against LeBron James and the Cavs and taking him to 7 games. It's fucking insane how much success they had so early on. So hopefully they pull together and win again this year.
Couple of things. Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
In this documentary is depicted as the mayor of Boston. I mean, everybody comes to him for
Mark or Donnie? Donnie, you mean?
Yeah, Donnie. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's basically the whole scene. It's the family.
Yeah.
But Donnie Wahlberg, of course, grew up, New Kids on the Block, all of that.
Yep.
Is it Jaylen Brown that he kind of takes under his wing?
Yeah, because everyone fucking was shitting on him after we picked him.
Yeah.
Like he was projected to go like 14th or 15th, and we took him at 3.
Yeah. And Boston was booing him when he showed up at the first game. It was crazy. Bill Russell in this time, just a few years ago, he died. I think he was probably one of the most, if not the most popular players on the Celtics roster.
Probably the most impactful until Jordan. Probably the most impactful basketball player until Jordan, I would say.
Especially for racial stuff.
Yeah.
2024, when they actually won the championship. How much were you into basketball? Did it bring you back in? Are you kind of like,
oh yeah, I've always liked this team.
Yeah, where does your watch? Are you a nightly watch? You just keep up with the stats of it, like?
No, I'll watch every playoff game, but during the season, it's basically if I have nothing else going on, because now that we do this show, my time is consumed with a lot of stuff we have to watch. But I will have it on like in the background and stuff like that. But not very often, because it's like they don't really lose much either. Like it's not very competitive when they play.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, what a great time to be a fan of this team, a winning team, like you mentioned, not having them any chance of them losing.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday.
Yes.
I had no idea about this guy until this documentary.
Yep. When what happened is the Miami Heat got they got somebody, and the Miami Heat fans were like, because it was like he was gonna go to Miami or Boston, and he ended up in Miami, and Miami Heat fans were celebrating that they had just basically won on paper, blah blah blah. And then 2 days later, we trade for for Holiday, and then all of a sudden the Miami fans are freaking out. And Miami's absolute trash right now. But yeah, Holiday's been known as like one of the best teammates in basketball. He had already won a championship with the Bucks. He and Porzingis kind of make this team run. Jason Tatum calls Porzingis the cheat code, and that's because he's injured a lot, but if he's on the floor, and we have the right starting 5, they are basically untouchable with the way Porzingis can distribute the ball. Yeah.
Seeing them win that last championship last year, won it, I believe, in 5 games.
Yep.
It was just incredible. Yeah. Very, very cool. One thing we haven't talked about on this podcast, but in the 2008 era, you worked there. You worked at the Garden, and you said that you did some of the camera work at the time.
Yep.
You were working up in the booth and stuff.
Mostly in the booth. Yeah. Mostly doing replays. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't talk about it when we were talking about that episode. I wanted to bring it up, but yeah, great documentary. I loved it. And I loved the best part about it was just the history of the team and something I didn't have any idea about, like Guzzi, Bill Russell. What I took out of this, Bill Russell, is just incredible.
Yeah.
And the whole 80s Celtics team was, everybody knows it's incredible.
There is a great 3-part 30 for 30 documentary on the Celtics Lakers rivalry. Also, if you're interested in that, on ESPN Plus.
We've been talking about sports documentaries.
Yeah.
Stuff I should be watching. We're going to be watching some football ones in the fall when football starts. But because it's at the end of the basketball season, the one that I keep hearing about, I've heard about it for years, is this Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. 10 episodes. I started watching. I only watched the first 3. Talks about Jordan being drafted in 84. Second episode talks about Scottie Pippen being drafted, becoming a number 2 behind Jordan. No, even though he was probably number 2 in the league, he was like 122nd.
Yeah.
You don't think so at the time in the 80s?
Pippen?
Yeah.
Nah.
The documentary kind of made it sound like he was like the number 2 as far as like following under his footsteps.
He just worked really well with Jordan. Because like at that time you also had like Charles Barkley. You had a bunch of guys, David Robinson. Yeah, I mean, he was the best like Robin to a Batman you could ask for because he and
Okay.
Jordan played off each other so well. And Pippin was an excellent player.
Documentary made it sound like he wasn't paid enough. He was like
No, he was not.
122nd.
Oh, that's what you meant by
out of
pay.
overall.
Yeah. Because what happened is he signed his deal right before the NBA restructured their payouts. So he basically, I think he signed for like 7 years and total of like 18 million or something like that. And like the next year, people were signing for like 3 or 4 years at like 18 million a year. So yeah, he got screwed out of money because he signed the year before the NBA restructured their payouts.
Talking a lot about Celtics. Let's talk about the 1986 series with the Celtics. We talked about that before, but there's kind of from the Bulls' perspective this time. Rebuilding the team in 87. Getting a young Dennis Rodman coming from the Pistons. Just watched that in episode 3. Of course, everybody knows about. He's probably one of the most popular, most famous. I wouldn't say popular, famous characters that ever came out of the NBA in the 90s. Especially if you're a fan of reality television and anyone else real life stuff.
Yes.
And dated Madonna and what's her name? The
married Carmen Electra for 3 days.
Carmen Electra, yeah. Great documentary. Gonna continue watching that probably. I know NBA is in the playoffs right now, so I'll be done before the end of the playoffs. But watched a few movies this week. First one, Becoming Led Zeppelin. Finally watched it. What a great documentary! But it only talked about like the first 3 years, maybe 2 years of their career. The first 2 albums.
Interesting.
There's a lot more to tell. It didn't even get into the John Bonham stuff when he died of an overdose. Didn't talk about any of that stuff. Only talked about it until like 1970, 1971. Didn't even get into like Led Zeppelin 3 and 4, which are, 4 has all the hits. And it has Stairway to Heaven and everything. They didn't get into any of that shit. But the great thing I took out of this is before they became Led Zeppelin, John Paul Jones and Jimmy Page were studio session performers. They would go in the studio in London, and they would do tracks for other bands, like for The Who, the Rolling Stones, Donovan. But they also did the theme song for James Bond's Goldfinger, and I remember that from years ago. And I remember, and I saw it in the documentary. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot they did that. But yeah, the guitar and the bass that you hear in Goldfinger is John Paul Jones and Jimmy Page before they were Led Zeppelin. Great documentary. Like I mentioned, it's just barely touches the surface of the group though, but talks about. The great thing about it is this group of people, number one, they haven't performed together since John Bonham really died. They've done it a couple times for charity, but they don't like to perform together. They don't like to be in the same room together, but they also don't like to do documentaries. This is the first time they've come and actually done something like this, talking in thorough depth about the history of the group. And it's very, very cool considering the group's been around for over 50 years now. So very, very cool. Very cool documentary.
You want to know a fun fact about Led Zeppelin that ties into the Celtics?
Yeah, what's that?
The owner of the Boston Garden, who's actually the owner of the Bruins, Jeremy Jacobs, had a falling out with Led Zeppelin sometime in the 80s, I want to say.
Yeah, they mentioned it in the documentary, didn't they?
Okay. So
somewhere I've heard it.
So we were not allowed to play Led Zeppelin songs in the Garden at all.
Yes.
Like
they were banned
during games.
They were banned from performing there as well.
Yes.
I think they started a riot or something.
Yep,
I remember reading when I was yeah.
Yep.
So wow, that goes even that deep. I'm shocked. Another documentary which you need to watch. Thank you very much. This is a documentary on.
Oh, that's Andy Kaufman, right?
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
Great documentary because the reason why I'm telling you to watch it, a huge chunk of this talks about his wrestling persona.
I knew it would. Yeah.
Yeah, a huge chunk. This came out in 2023, just released digitally. Lots of archived interviews. Danny DeVito, Steve Martin, Mary Lou Henner did some new interviews for it. Showed Andy in character as Latka on the dating game, which was incredible. Before he was famous, really. Showed him on Taxi. Showed him on Taxi as Tony Clifton, which was incredible. If you ever watched, what was the movie with Jim Carrey, Man on the Moon?
Yeah, Man on the Moon.
Came out like 98, 99. A great movie. He did a great
job.
We're
old.
Yeah, did a great job depicting Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
But his wrestling ideas, number one, he wrestled ladies. At the time, you're talking, what is this, early 80s?
Yep.
the feminist movement, right in the throes of the feminist movement, and he's beating up ladies and doing it on national television, going on David Letterman, complaining about women. Jerry Lawler comes on, slaps him. Everybody knows that. He ends up wearing a neck brace. He idolized Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. That's where when he grew up watching wrestling, that's who he idolized. But the way that he is as an actor, as a character himself, he embraced kayfabe. He embraced letting the fans think that everything was real. And when he went into the territories and worked with Jerry Lawler, and he became the ultimate heel, and he loved it. He thrived in it. It's just crazy. The media, it was a media storm with Jerry Lawler. Everybody talks about that. NBC Dick Ebersol, who ran Saturday Night Live and pretty much produced everything, banned him from Saturday Night Live. Did a public backstabbing. They had a vote. It was like a phone-in vote if you want Andy Kaufman to be back on SNL. And I think he just did it to say fuck you, Andy Kaufman, because they said that the vote was against him coming back ever, and he was never allowed back on the show again. And it was also kind of a weird thing about him, though, and I remember Man of the Moon said it too. Like, did he really die? He was such a character and such a out of it that it made you think: was it all a ploy? Did he really die? Supposedly he died of lung cancer. Never a smoker. Had a whole bunch of conspiracy theories after it. And kind of mentions the main question of the documentary is, who is the real Andy Kaufman? And I don't think anybody ever really knew him. Even the people that dated him, his friends, nobody really knew who he was. But great documentary. I recommend anybody see that. It's on streaming now. Some great movies. I know you have watched some of these. I've been peeking a look at your what do you call it?
Letterboxd.
Letterboxd. I know you saw The Monkey.
Yep.
Stephen King based this on a true story from the 80s. James Wan produced it. Osgood Perkins, I had no idea about this guy, but we're going to talk about him in depth in a minute because he has quite the history. But this is about a murderous doll that's a monkey with the symbols. Everybody knows what that is. It's an iconic toy.
Yeah.
Theo James stars in this movie. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He was in the Time Traveler's Wife TV series. I thought he was great in that. Tatiana Maslany, She-Hulk herself, played his mother back in the 80s. Elijah Wood is in this kind of quick cameo. Sarah Levy, Eugene Levy's daughter. She's in Schitt's Creek. Adam Scott cameos in the beginning of it as his father, who kind of takes the monkey and tries to sell it. Oz Perkins directed Long Legs, which I haven't seen. I don't know if you liked it or not. I can't remember.
Mid. I didn't really care for it.
When I saw the picture of him, when I looked on Wikipedia, I was like, oh, that guy looks familiar. Number one, I've seen him in Legally Blonde, Not Another Teen Movie, Star Trek. Nope, he's been in a whole bunch of shit. He is the son of Anthony Perkins. Yep. Who was Norman Bates in Psycho. Norman Bates in Psycho was a gay man. He underwent conversion therapy, met Oz's mother in the 70s. They ended up having Oz. He had died of AIDS in 1992. The conversion therapy, I guess, didn't hold because he went right back into the gay lifestyle. But his mother was actress Barry Berenson, who died in American Airlines Flight 11 during the September 11th attacks. Yep. Crazy story of this guy. Nobody, really I had no idea who he was until this. And I remember seeing him in those movies as an actor, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I thought the movie was pretty good too, and I kind of fell a little bit towards the end, but I thought the concept of it was pretty good. About this murdering monkey that every time he hits the drum hits the thing on his drums, he kills somebody, like spiritually, I guess. Probably like a 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's decent if you want to see a good decent horror movie. I'm not sure if I'll watch it again in any time soon, but it was pretty good. Another great movie, Novocaine, which you saw in the theater, talked about pretty much a few weeks ago, probably a month ago. Yep. Did come out. Jack Quaid being Jack Quaid, and I knew this movie was gonna be great because it's like John Wick mixed with mixed with
Max
somebody who
Payne.
just can't feel Max Payne, who can't feel any pain whatsoever. And he's just great in it. He can't eat food because he's afraid if he bites his tongue, he won't know if he's bleeding out because he could bite his tongue off.
By tongue it off. Yep.
He gets shot. He gets stabbed. He gets shot with an arrow through the leg. It's crazy what happens to him in this movie. The supporting cast, I like all of them too. Jack Nicholson's son plays the villain of the movie. I thought he was great in this. The girl is his sister. Well, I don't want to get into spoilers, but I kind of just did. But yeah, go watch this movie. It's great. Probably 4 out of 5 for me. I want to see him in a lot more action stuff like this.
Yeah,
he's just great. He's just a great actor.
Great.
A lot of good stuff. This movie, I wasn't sure what I was going to think of it because Locked, we talked about this when the trailer came out. This is a movie starring Bill Skarsgård where he's locked in a car who is being held hostage by Anthony Hopkins. He's trying to steal the car, and Anthony Hopkins, while Bill Skarsgård's in there trying to hotwire it, locks all the windows, locks all the doors, and tortures him for days until a big climax of the movie. But good movie. I did like a lot of it, but a lot of it was already told in the trailers.
Yeah,
and I think the ending kind of fell off on this one as well. But it was decent. I would say like a 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, decent movie. So those are all great movies. Last night I saw a pretty amazing movie, Thunderbolts. Don't want to get into too much. I will say it's a 4.5 out of 5. Marvel did something with mental health I did not think they could ever do, especially in the climate that they're in right now. But they tackled it in such a great way, showing the darkness of mental health, the physical being of darkness, as a matter of fact, in The Void and with Bob. I don't want to get into too much. So much of this movie pretty much talks about everything we've been talking about for forever with the Avengers movies, with Marvel. It's like, what's going to happen next? And we kind of know what's going to happen. And we're going to get into it when we do a full spoiler review in a couple weeks. But it's great.
This movie was pitched to Kevin Feige by James Gunn in like 2014, by the way. That just came out on, I think, The Wire or something like that, one of the websites. And James was going to do this, but then he ended up leaving for DC. But yeah, I can't wait to see this. I heard it has like a lot of those same vibes that you would get from a James Gunn movie. And I heard the cast is incredible together and there's a lot of chemistry. I can't wait to see it. Hopefully I'll have time on Thursday.
Yeah, I hope so, because it's really good. The other thing was, I can't remember his name. I know he's Pullman's son, but he wanted his character, Lewis Pullman, he wanted his character of Bob to be changed because his name of Bob was in Top Gun Maverick. That was his name of his character. And they asked Kevin Feige in the group, can I change my name? I was already Bob in another movie. He's like, if you change your name, there's going to be a group of comic book fans that are kind of going to come after your ass. It's like they take this stuff seriously. A couple of things of note before we get into news. There's a new popcorn bucket, Thunderbolts. Not only popcorn bucket, but there's a cup with a drink cup that fits inside the popcorn bucket.
Oh, nice.
It's from Regal. And also, they're filming Avengers currently, and we have the group of Avengers that saw it last night. Winston Duke, Robert Downey Jr., Paul Rudd, Channing Tatum, Simu Liu, Chris Hemsworth, and Anthony Mackie all went to see it together. I guess it looks like they were singing in a sound room, but
nice.
Great movie. I can't wait to talk about it in depth. There's a lot to it, especially the ending and the after credits scene. Holy fuck. We'll talk all about it in a couple weeks, but till then, let's get into the news. Lots of trailers. Let's get into the trailer roundup. We got a very quick glimpse of Alien Earth. The only thing that we know from this trailer is there's 5 different alien species that are all coming together in this series, and they're all going to be fighting each other by the sound of it. We don't know anything other than that. But that's a new poster for that. Got a brand new trailer for The Smashing Machine. This looks really good, and I had no idea that The Rock can
Yep.
do something like that.
I wanna watch this documentary this is based about. I'm
Okay.
gonna try to figure out where to watch it. I don't think it's anywhere online right now. So I'll try to figure out and we can watch it and review it because I heard the documentary is one of the best documentaries ever made. So
Okay.
by the same name.
Yeah, we'll watch. We'll watch it. We'll watch it.
I'll figure it out.
fairly soon. But yeah, all about a UFC legend. I saw pictures of the real guy. Looks just like The Rock. I'm surprised,
Yeah.
but especially how built The Rock is. I
Yeah,
thought,
when
wow,
The
this
Rock
is
was
crazy.
cast, I was like, he doesn't. I don't know if he can pull off being him, and he does look. They did a really good job making him look like him.
Yeah, I
but
thought so.
yeah.
Got another horror movie coming out called Weapons. This stars Thanos himself. Fuck, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
See that top line from the director of Barbarian?
Yes,
That's all I need to know. You have not seen Barbarian, correct?
I have not.
We'll do that in October.
Okay.
That movie is fucking incredible. Another Skarsgård movie.
Okay.
But this director is one to watch for me. Kreger is his name. He was on that TV show that went like viral a few years ago, White Kids something.
Okay.
But he was in that show and he's an incredible director. And this movie apparently impressed people so much it got moved from January of next year up to August of this year.
Wow.
January is usually a dead month for movies, so it impressed them so much that it's like a dumping ground. January it impressed them so much that they gave him a summer movie. So
Wow.
I can't wait.
Trailer looked good. All about these kids that get lost at night. They just take off and
They just
start running.
Disappear. Yep.
It's all this one woman's class, Julia
And it's-
Gardner, who's going to be playing
Julia
the
Gardner.
new
Yep.
Silver Surfer. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pumped. Can't wait.
Yeah, looked really good. Another trailer. Conan O'Brien has, I think it comes out on Sunday, a Mark Twain Prize for humor from the Kennedy Center.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be on Netflix, and it's basically just a retrospective of him and his career. If you were a fan of the Conan O'Brien late night shows, lots of characters from that. The Masturbating Bear, Triumph is on there. Lots of characters from that show. I watched it back in the day, so I'm probably going to end up watching this. We'll talk about it next week. But the trailer looked good. Bad Thoughts. This is Tom Segura's new show. Comes out on May 13th. It's kind of like Twilight Zone, but in a comedic way. It looked really, really funny. I'm probably going to end up watching this. I like Tom and Bert together. I might watch this. It's on Netflix on the 13th of this month.
Nice.
Got a new quick glimpse of Dexter for Dexter Resurrection. Also, series coming out July 11th. First 2 episodes.
July 11th, man. I tell you, there's
I know.
there's got to be something about that date. We got Superman, obviously. We got Dexter. The remake of Tony Hawk 3 at 4 come out that day. It's gonna be a busy fucking day.
Busy month. July is going to be busy for us. It ends with Comic-Con. So yeah, it's going to be a busy month. Now You See Me, Now You Don't. This is the third movie in the series. I have not seen the second one, but I did watch the trailer to this one. Thing of note is the kid on the far left there. That's the kid in Holdovers. And I know he's in this movie as well. He was added to the cast. But all the originals are coming back as well from the original movies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that second movie. So when that comes out, probably digitally, I'll watch that. The other thing is when they had this campaign to sign up for their alerts through Venmo, when people signed up for it, all those people ended up getting $119 sent to them through Venmo.
Damn.
Yeah,
only I knew.
missed out. Yeah. Another horror remake. This time was Snow White. This movie looked crazy because they used actually real dwarfs this time. But yeah, the death of Snow White. I saw the trailer for this. Looked ridiculous, like all the other horror remake movies. Not a part of the Poonaverse or anything, but I did want to mention that. And a brand new documentary, Wick is Pain, coming out on May 9th on digital. It looks pretty good because it tells about the story. I guess there's a hard time getting the first John Wick movie made.
Yeah.
And they had a hard time through a process of production and everything. So it talks all about that. And of course, nobody kills a dog, and they ended up doing it. And look what happened to the whole entire franchise 5 movies later, going on 6 or 7 in the future. So yeah, great. Weekend box office last week. We knew Sinners was going to win again. 45 million for a second weekend is pretty damn good.
That's less than 10% drop, which has like never been done.
Never been done. And it's an incredible movie. If you've not seen Sinners, we reviewed it last week. Watch it because it's a great movie. Just a stunning movie. Revenge of the Sith re-release was second for 25 million. incredible for a re-release. Incredible.
Mhm.
The Accountant 2, 24.4. That debuted last week. I have not seen it. We'll probably watch it when it comes out. Hayden and Samuel L. Jackson showed up for one of the previews for the first night of episode 3.
Mhm.
Episode 3 was amazing when it came out because there was nothing. There was no other IP that we would go and see midnight. There was no Marvel movies.
Yeah,
Maybe
that was back with
Spider-Man.
midnight screenings. Thank God
Yeah.
that got changed to like 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
So
this
much
is
better.
midnight. We were there at midnight to see this movie.
Yep.
So yeah. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominations were announced. Nominations are Bad Company, Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker, Cyndi Lauper, Soundgarden, White Stripes, Warren Zevon, and led by Outkast, Salt and Pepper. Yeah, I cannot wait to see if Outkast comes back, actually
Mhm.
performs. We'll have to wait and see on that. So that comes out probably in like November. So Martin Short's going to be reviving on ABC The Match Game. This was popular back in the day, way back in the day. When we do games on this show, it's actually the Match Game theme that I use.
Yep.
But yeah, match game coming back for ABC. Joining the cast of the Narnia movie as the White Witch, Emma Mackey. I don't know who she is. I've seen her in something, but yeah, coming in as the White Witch. I want to mention that. Wanted to mention that Anthony Michael Hall is joining the cast of season 2 of Wednesday, which I don't have here, but yeah, I guess he was in Edward Scissorhands, which I didn't remember.
Mhm.
So he's joining director Tim Burton again. Matthew Lillard has been cast in the Carrie series by Mike Flanagan. That is picking up steam. We're going to be getting a lot more casting on that as well. Another documentary, The Untold The Fall of Favre. This is all about the scandal. This is all about the scandal when he was sending dick pics to what's her name? The sports reporter. The sports
some sideline reporter in New York. Yeah.
I can't remember her name. She's a comedian now. But yeah, this comes out on May 20th on Netflix. The Bear season 4 is going to be premiering on June 15th. Excited for that. Darren Aronofsky's Caught Stealing. This is a baseball movie. A former baseball player gets caught with a criminal scheme when pet sitting his punk rock neighbor's cat. I got some first new pictures of that as well, of Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz, but Bad Bunny's in this as well. Regina King. Yeah, looks could be like a good decent movie. You got Darren Aronofsky, so hopefully. A new look at Dr. Frankenstein. Oscar Isaac in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein movie come out later this year on Netflix. Yeah, excited for that. You got a new look for Cobra Kai Legends. Karate Kid Legends.
Karate Kid Legends, yep.
God,
they look so old.
Middle of the picture, I had no idea Joshua Jackson was in this movie until I think this week or last week. But yeah, Joshua Jackson's part of this cast for some reason.
Interesting.
Got another picture from the next Knives Out movie of LeBlanc. What's his name? Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, yep.
Cannot wait for that. Got an Empire magazine pictures came out last night for Jurassic World Rebirth. Got a brand new picture of some dinosaurs, of Scarlet and what's his name. Excited for that, kind of. Kind of hit or miss with Jurassic Park. Anne McDermott, who played the Emperor in Star Wars, revealed that Palpatine was going to have a series. It was being developed before Rise of Skywalker came out. It got canned, surprisingly, but I would have loved to see that. The tariffs are taking place in the United States. I don't have pictures of that. I don't know why I do that. Tariffs are taking place in the United States, and Microsoft is raising the price of their Xbox. Especially the most expensive Xbox is going up $100 to like $799.
5 years into the fucking life cycle of the goddamn console.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that has an Xbox. I don't think. Maybe
I have a last gen.
I know one person. I'm talking about the new one. I think I know one person that has.
I know one or two people.
But yeah, it's not for me anymore. I love PlayStation. Announced today, first thing this morning, GTA 6 has been delayed 8 months to May.
Couldn't see that coming.
26. So May we have Doomsday. We've got a new Star Wars movie, and a week later we've got GTA 6.
until it
May
gets
of
delayed
next
again.
year, until it gets delayed until September of 2026.
Right.
But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. The game is probably going to be $200 when it comes out, and that's for the base model.
Yep.
It's taken so long to make it, but got a brand new popcorn bucket for Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, comes out in a couple weeks, and also another one for Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. It's a popcorn bucket that has a key that you have to get into it to be opened. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah. I got some swag. We're gonna talk about some swag.
Swag. Stuff we all get.
Come on, son. You know that's right.
I'm mentioning this because this would look great on your shelf, Kevin.
Yeah.
Aemon Targaryen with
That's
his
dope.
dragon.
Yep.
Great looking. This is limited edition
With Rhaegar.
Funko Pop.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Got some new Star Wars Andor ones. Got a great Mace Windu one from episode 3 with no hand, covered with force lightning. Looks awesome. Got some new Funko Pops for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Got 7 different variations with the supersized Venom symbiote one. Looks really cool. We got a brand new glimpse of Lego set featuring Galactus and the Fantastic Four. I don't believe this is for sale. It's kind of just shown up randomly leaked online, but kind of our first glimpse of what Galactus could look like, something like that. Also got some new pictures of a new Spider-Man Lego sets coming out. One from Spider-Man 2 in the famous subway scene where he stops it with the webs with Dr. Octopus. And another one set, I believe, in the animated series, set with kind of like Oscorp and a few other apartment buildings. But the thing of note in that is there is a Venom symbiote, Eddie Brock, with Eddie Brock coming off of his shoulder as part of this as well. Looked really, really cool. Where are we at? And this one, Batman Forever, coming up on the 30th anniversary of that movie. This looks really, really cool. We got a Lego set for the Batmobile from Batman Forever. This is definitely, I'm tempted to put it on my shelf because the chrome on this looks amazing.
Yeah.
This is the Cyborg Superman that came out in the 90s during the Death of Superman story arc. This looks awesome. And he looks awesome, and I definitely want this on my shelf. It's a McFarlane toy, so you already know it's great. Speaking of Palpatine earlier, Darth Sidious Palpatine Hot Toys figure. This is from episode 3, right as he's turning into Darth Sidious from Yoda's Force Lightning and everything. Looks awesome. Got some brand new merch for Superman. Got a backpack and a hat. I don't think you need a backpack, Kevin, but you definitely could use that hat. Looks awesome.
Yep.
Only a few more months to that. Speaking of Superman, there's some brand new pictures this week that was posted. First one on the top is Lois and Superman. Second one was I think it was the anniversary of
Mr. Terrific.
Mr. Terrific. James Gunn posted that on his socials. So big news out of DC this week was Sergeant Rock movie was canceled. And we found out a little bit more about it. Delayed, yeah. They're saying it was a weather issue where they wanted to film it and they wanted to film it in the summertime, but they couldn't get the production crew together before summer. They didn't want to do it in the wintertime, so they may wait till next year to do it, is what everybody's kind of saying. But the big thing we got from this is the casting was official. Colin Farrell was going to be playing Sergeant Rock. The kid from Challengers was going to be in it. And the kid from Alien, the last one we really loved to play the android, was already cast in it as well. And he was great in that. Also, it would have followed Sergeant Rock trying to find the Spear of Destiny, the spear used to stab Jesus during his crucifixion before the Nazis found it. Very reminiscent of Indiana Jones and all those type of stories of lost artifacts and stuff. So that's really cool. Set in World War II as well. So that'd been cool. Hopefully we will see something like this. Clayface movie. This came out today. Because of this news, they're saying that Clayface movie may have some problems as well. There may be some trouble with James Gunn and HBO, kind of saying that they're kind of slow and reluctant to add superhero shows to the network. But they're saying that James Gunn went over to Zaslav, went over their heads to get Lanterns underway. I think Lanterns going to kind of be the barometer of how these
Yep.
go forward. Same with Superman for the movies.
Pretty much. Yep.
The future is going to be reevaluated with the show and with when Lanterns and when everything kind of comes out. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Came out today promoting Fantastic Four. These trading cards. If you went to see the 4DX version of Thunderbolts last night, you would have gotten a pack of these trading cards. But the old school bubblegum trading cards from the 70s, 80s, with all the Fantastic Four, including Herbie, as cards in this pack with an actual piece of gum too. This would have been great to have. But yeah, they did release the posters and the pictures of these cards today. So very exciting for that. Also, production started for Victor Von Doom in Doomsday. Cannot wait for that. A mystery actor has shown up on set. Nobody knows who it is. Looks like kind of like Hugh Jackman. Who knows who that is? Somebody who hasn't been announced. And finally in news, Jeremy Renner went on. He's talking a lot. I can't remember what he's promoting, but he's been promoting something. And he's been talking about Marvel, and he talked about Hawkeye, and there was supposed to be a season 2, but they lowballed him for a season 2, saying, we'll give you half the money to return. That I don't agree with, because he's been around, probably one of the longest characters still active in these movies. Him and Sebastian Stan. And they wanted to lowball him like that, and he was probably going to be doing a lot of work, especially after he got in his accident. Even to be considering that he's acting again is crazy. But the exact quote is, "I'd love to do it, but I had to defend myself." And he asked, "Why do you think I'm half the man? Because I got ran over, by the snowplow last year." So, yeah, crazy story, but I don't know if we'll ever see it. Hawkeye, I really did like that first season.
Me too.
Hawkeye.
It was enjoyable.
It would be interesting. Yeah, very enjoyable. Christmas kind of movie.
Yeah.
That's it for our show this week. We'll talk to everybody next week. But first, what we're going to talk about next week: Mobland episode 6, Studio episode 8, probably the finale. I guess it's the finale with Zack Snyder. Episode 4, Last of Us, comes out on Sunday. The third chapter of Andor comes out on Tuesday night. Episode 7 through 9. Dark Side of the Ring episode 7 is all about Billy Jack Haynes.
Yes.
You know anything about him?
That'll be fun.
And Year of Superman.
Yes.
Year of Superman. Next week, we're going to talk about the series Superboy. It came out in 1988, ended in 1992. We'll talk about the history of this series and how the Salkinds were involved. But wait a minute. Didn't the Salkinds sell the rights to Superman? Well, they sold the rights to the film series, did not sell the rights to the television series. Also, did not use Superman. They used Superboy, so they got away with it. We'll talk all about that. There's a Mr. McSixaplex episode I think you should watch, a Bizarro episode. If you're going to watch just a couple, watch those. Okay. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Also, there's a George Lazenby episode that you probably should watch too. It's all in the notes. You can go through it, and we'll talk about it next week. That's it, everybody, and we'll talk to you then.
Peace.
Peace.
We're the Geek Blurb crew, here to enlighten you, talking all things geeky, from movies to wrestling to our podcast is the place where you want to be for all the latest news and nostalgia from the 80s and 90s. We review comic book flicks and sci-fi hits, riding the wave of action movies with all the cool bits. From Iron Man to Star Wars, we cover it all. And when it comes to wrestling, we never drop the ball. Geek Blurb, we're the kings of the nerds, rating movies and pineapples, our opinions never blur. Join us each week for a geeky chat with the latest scoop and a dose of nostalgia that. So if you're a fan of the comic book craze, or a lover of sci-fi and all its maze, tune in to Geek Blurb, we're here to entertain.